Our neighborhoods are famous. But the people that come from around the world don't come to see condo complexes. So I think that the question about development and how I foresee it is, I'd like to see it stop. I'd like to see us preserve the character and personality of Hollywood. I'd like to see us embrace the legacy of Hollywood. And I know when my relatives came from Australia last month, they didn't want to see the new site of the condominiums on Sunset Boulevard at the old Columbia Square. They know the stories that make Hollywood famous. They want to go to Hollywood and Vine to see where the radio station was that broadcast around the world saying, from Hollywood and Vine. They don't want to see more development that we don't need, that's destroying the fabric of this great legacy. That's how I see development, not in the future.
The CRA have been involved in Hollywood a lot, obviously. And you talk about building these new skyscrapers around mass transit stations. The notion is that folks who live there, they won't have any cars, and we'll all live happily ever after because they'll take the train downtown every day. Well, if you're paying $1 million per condo, you own a car, or you own a BMW, it's parked. So that notion has been, it's ridiculous, okay? You know, Tom talked at the last forum about how Hollywood had came back. Who has it came back for? Okay? Who has it came back for? The CRA, it's mind-boggling. They buy a building, they sell a building, they buy it for one price, they sell it for less that price. And we, the taxpayer, have been paying all of this. And we have all these bonds we still have to pay for. And that my children will have to pay for because of the waste in redeveloping Hollywood. So, you really want to help Hollywood? You help the schools. You give them a park, finally. A park that everybody can use. And frankly, you stop moving the people who live there right now, you stop moving them out and bringing new, wealthy people into these condo complexes.
Now, the next question, we'll start with Mr. Box, then go to Mr. LaBonge and Mr. O'Grady. Given the City Council's passage of the bicycle master plan today, number one, how will you work to find funding to implement it? And number two, how would you prioritize its implementation?
Well, I'd find funding for it the way I've already found funding for it. I went to the incumbents' transportation committee last year and I corrected their math and found $7.3 million that went to implement bicycle and pedestrian facilities in the streets of LA. I've done this a few times because there's little, if any, oversight and accountability to the way we conduct business with your money. I also went to the budget hearings last year and found an entire department that had money for staffing but not for operations. So with regards to this specific bicycle plan, I already work with Caltrans on bringing federal and state money to the city of Los Angeles. Checks we don't cash. So whether it's safe routes to school money for the small streets or highway safety improvement project money for the large streets, the city of LA qualifies for money and then gets disqualified from the process because it doesn't cash the check and actually engage in the business of developing that project. One of the reasons is we laid off all the people that do the work. Because when we had the furloughs and when we had the early retirements and when we forced people out of the city of LA, seniority meant that some people got to stay and the people who are actually doing the work had to leave. So we're top heavy, and as for actually spending the money to improve the streets, the money's there. The city of LA has a bad track record for spending it. And the evidence is Wilshire Boulevard. The money's been there for 3 years, and yet the city council still can't vote on what to do.
This is the master plan, bicycle plan approved today, unanimous vote. Very good. First thing we've got to do, come out to the neighborhood councils, come out with the community, neighborhood associations, see what we can find and achieve. And we can find and achieve things. It's very important. But it's a plan, it's a guide. Thanks to the mayor, and this is the truth, when the mayor had his little problem on Venice Boulevard, hurt his elbow, he said, I want to do something for cycling. He got together with Bill Rosendahl, Ed Reyes, moved it forward. The Los Angeles County Bike Coalition moved it forward, came up with a plan. But a plan is only as good as you work with the community. and it will have effect on community in a positive way. So I'm looking at you, Ron, and the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council to see what we can do in this area as we transform it with more bike friendly. At the same time too, this is the LA River, Friends of the River. Very important document. I'm proud Louis McAdams, the first friend of the river, who formed it, endorses me and supports me on doing things on the river. I want that bikeway to go absolutely all the way out to the Bell and Calabasas Creek. That's where Canoga Park High is. All the way out. There's the one there. Did you go to Canoga Park? Okay, you didn't go to Canoga Park High. That's where the river starts. And along those rivers are banks. And not just the Los Angeles River, but the Big Tehunga Wash all around Sepulveda. The bikeway on the river is an opportunity for a freeway for cycling. And it's real important, and I've fought for, and I want to give a shout out to Alex Baum, who was the great advocate for bikes for many, many years. Thank you.
I just want to say congratulations to Stephen. I know this is your big deal, and it is a credit to you that this has finally gotten passed. So congratulations to you. I also have a bike plan. It's pretty simplistic, to be honest. Okay, it's filling potholes. So, we don't have, and hopefully someday we will pay for that bike plan because it is great. But in the meantime, whilst we botched everything else up, okay, we just need to fill potholes, okay? And I have a proposal to cut council staff in half. That's $1 million. That'll pay for 10 positions in street services. We laid off 300 positions in street services last year. We didn't lay off any in the council offices or in the mayor's office. This city needs to admit to itself, or start to go back where we hire people who actually do things. The guys with the shovels. Not the photographer, not the tweeter. The mayor has a full-time tweeter. It's $100 grand right there. Okay? The council offices each have a press secretary. Okay? We have potholes all over the city. It's ridiculous. The second largest and wealthiest city in the United States, and we have potholes everywhere. Because we cut all the wrong things in this city. I have a plan to be frugal, to cut all the things we don't need, so we can pay for the basic things that we do need. Thank you.
Time goes fast when we're having fun. And this will be our final regular question before we go to the closing statements. And we'll go Fox, O'Grady, LaBonge. How can neighborhood councils, of course specifically, how can the neighborhood councils, specifically GGP-NC, be more effective in providing meaningful input to the LA City Council?
Well, it's not up to the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council to do a better job communicating because the deaf ears are at City Hall. Today, in council session, people showed up to speak, and public comment was reduced because so many people dared to participate in the governance of this great city. So there are many ways to communicate with City Hall, but not many of them work, and based on results, it's City Hall that has to change. So I would say that neighborhood councils do a great job of getting information from many different directions and many different formats. City Hall has to change the way that we communicate. There was a move at one time that neighborhood council should be able to introduce motions. If it's not a good motion, it will die if it doesn't get a second. There are community impact statements that you can't find when a neighborhood council goes to the trouble of convening a meeting, to have an opinion, to send that message to City Council. So I would suggest that one of the simplest things we can do to connect neighborhood councils with City Hall is to give City Hall a much more enthusiastic approach to listening to what the neighborhood councils and the communities have to say.
I'm the chair of the Green Committee of the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council, and I'm the former treasurer of the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council. The City Council doesn't take neighborhood councils seriously. We have a Department of Neighborhood Empowerment that is a joke. We spend the bulk of our meetings talking about getting people paid for the tiny little budget that we have. Why? Because it's completely disorganized. Neighborhood councils are, in my opinion, one of the success stories in the last 10 years. Except the city council constantly seems to ignore them. We did, Stephen, you're right, we did have that pilot program. I'm the only person from the only neighborhood council that made an attempt to submit a council file so that we could bypass the council person. Not that Tom did anything wrong in this case. I like the idea of checks and balances. If you have an uncooperative council person, and you were not uncooperative, in this case, it's nice to be able to bypass somebody. It turns out they didn't have the proper paperwork in place. So we need to take neighborhood councils seriously. We need to have a proper, integrated system where they can talk to each other, where they can organize, and finally they need their own accounting system. As treasurer, I offer them for $550 a multi-user QuickBooks system that they could use, okay, so for the 91 councils. And of course, I didn't even get a call back. So I'm a neighborhood councilman, and I would seek to advance neighborhood councils and give them a real seat at the table, finally.
Personally, I've been involved in the neighborhood movement my whole career. Started off working with the Griffith Park Action Council. Put in the nomination through a fella who got the observatory to be a historic monument, the Mulholland Fountain to be a historic monument, the Hyperion Bridge to be a historic monument, Fire Station 27 to be a historic monument. Working with neighborhoods is how you get it done. And unfortunately now, with all of us, sometimes we don't. And I do this all the time. I tell neighborhood councils, do what a cinematographer does. Put their thumbs together and say, this is the picture of what I want in my neighborhood. And I try to deliver. And the staff I have, which I'm proud of, and I try to deliver. And I saw this challenge coming with the street services recently. And I took the money that I had and hired staff and got an old truck out of salvage. And they will go around this neighborhood and every neighborhood in the 4th District dumping trash cans, picking up debris, palm fronds, because it's a challenge. And at the same time, we work with neighborhood councils on their cleanups, neighborhood associations. They're all very important. But to be successful, you have to be like Nina Mohi, Joanne Gabrielson, Alberta Perk, and Cheryl Bowler, the leaders who helped save this school. They were tenacious and didn't take no for an answer. That's the key to success. And it's very important to be engaged in that. And I help people, and I would love to welcome anyone, because my doors are always open, to listen to their concerns and try to help them reach their goal.
Why, thank you. Now we have just about enough time for closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. In your closing statements, gentlemen, you can address something that somebody else has said, or say some things that you think still need addressing. We'll go in the reverse order of the opening statements, so it'll be Mr. O'Grady, Mr. LaBonge, then Mr. Box. Mr. O'Grady, 2 minutes to you, sir.
I've been described as sincere to a fault, okay? I've been described recently as a naive idealist. They're right, I am. I was so naive a few years ago that a group of parents and I, we put an organic garden in at King Middle School on a shoestring, just in the thought that that might help that school realize its full potential. King Middle School was the 2nd most improved middle school in all of Los Angeles last year. That's a big deal. Justine and I were so naive. In 2001, we had extra money just like everybody else. The city of Los Angeles had extra money. We took a calculator, we sat at the dining room table. We calculated how much it would be to pay off our mortgage in 10 years. We are mortgage free today by saving our pennies. Were the city of Los Angeles to be as naive as I think we'd have a much better city. I'm trying to restore trust in government, but not by preaching to people, you must do this, you can't do that, and grand plans. No, I'm starting right with me. Just as when I asked my daughter to turn the lights off in the bedroom when she comes downstairs, the only way she'll do it if she sees me doing it also. And that's what I'm trying to do in City Hall. I'm trying to have the honor of you electing me so I can get in there with my half salary, with the half staff, with my own Honda, with this idea that I am frugal. And then maybe, just maybe, I will have a chance to negotiate with unions and the rank and file to concede some of the really incredible packages that they have won over the years. And also, just maybe again convince voters, after I have shown and others have shown that we have cleaned up our government. Maybe you'll top it off with a few dollars in additional taxes. So, My name is Tomas O'Grady. I talk straight, I talk simply, and I keep my word. And I am respectfully asking for your vote for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Grady Group Park Neighborhood Council. Thank all of you for being here tonight. I'm honored to serve this city since 1974. In the summer 74, 75, and then full-time from there. Wanted to be a school teacher, wanted to be a coach. Believe it or not, there were not any teaching jobs at the time. The student population was down. Over the years, we've improved where we built schools. We got challenges. We have to do more and collaborate, which I do with schools. Very much so. But if you elect me, you elect someone who has experience, who works with people, who cares about all this city, who helps the people, who's endorsed by the great governor of California, Jerry Brown, who said, I've known Tom for 30 years and he's my friend. And it's very important to have those endorsements to work with it, where I visit with the governor and learn some things as well. Working with him when he was on the college board, working with him when he was Attorney General to turn around the prostitution problem we had on Sunset Boulevard. All this is a collaboration, an experience. And I'm proud that I came from John Marshall High. I'm proud of all the heritage that I have in this community. And to be able to serve the city of Los Angeles is a great honor. And I'm thankful for my wife and the great support that she gives me every day and my children give me every day. And we work hard for the people and listen to the people. And you know, you don't always able to achieve everything that everybody wants, but you try to get those goals done for neighborhoods. I'm proud of the Franklin Avenue Bridge. I'm proud of the Observatory and the Hyperion Bridge, Silver Lake Reservoir, which we finally got approval from the Division of Dams to build a walkway on Tesla. Thank goodness for that. All this is our neighborhood. We're fortunate. We live in a great neighborhood, and the city of Los Angeles is a city of great neighborhood. Yes, there are challenges, but you need to elect someone, I would hope, who has that ability to work with many people in all levels of government to continue to improve the quality of life for our community and our city. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you. I stand on stage with two gentlemen, one who does good work in his neighborhood, somebody I would refer to as the outsider. The other gentleman has been around for 35 years. I think it's safe to call him the insider. And I stand before you as the outsider on the inside. I have an acute sensitivity for how things are and how they should be. And I have a significant track record working within City Hall to identify problems and to come up with solutions. So I offer myself as the outsider on the inside. Tonight you have a choice to make. Mr. O'Grady offers a symbolic gesture of cutting his salary in half. It would be meaningful if there were 3,500 council members willing to join him in that gesture, but there aren't. And Mr. LaBonge stands before you and asks for 4 more years so that he can take that truck and fix our streets. Again, a gesture that would be meaningful if we had 3,500 years to fix our streets, but we don't. So I stand before you crystal clear on the fact that the city of LA is in the midst of a crisis of leadership and we're experiencing a sense of urgency. Imagine the Titanic heading toward the iceberg. Mr. O'Grady would run to the bridge and cut the captain's salary in half and then throw half the staff overboard. Mr. LaBonge would say, give the captain some more time. And I stand before you committed to taking the wheel and turning this ship around.
Yeah! Yeah!
You have a choice tonight, and you have a voice on March 8th. My name's Stephen Box, and I'd like your vote.
Go Steve!
It's time to say thank you to all the candidates for appearing here and helping us be better informed. to the neighborhood council for organizing and presenting this forum, to the volunteers, to the high school, the Board of Education to give it a better lighting system, and especially to you, the audience, for taking the time to become better informed voters in the March 8th elections. We hand this back now to the neighborhood council president.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Really appreciate this town. It was amazing. Thank you to our